All right. So yesterday I was listening to an audiobook, Brandon Sanderson audiobook of awesomeness, and playing some EU4, and Scornfis and I were talking about how the changes in the Wealth of Nations patch were all made the game crazy easy, right? Because they reduced AE and they made AE decay faster, and they tried to replace the coalition mechanic somewhat with a rebel mechanic, but then they didn't make the rebel mechanic very strong. Like, they made it super strong and then they nerfed it by 4x, making it completely like the weakest thing ever. So now, they replaced one thing with another, but then they took out the thing they replaced it with, so now there's no mechanic to stop you from blobbing. So all of the nations blob. The AI-controlled nations, too. So basically every game, France is going to take over all of Europe, and it's going to be hilarious, and no one's ever going to stop France. And the Ottomans are going to blob. Like, they often take over much of Russia and all of India and much of the East and stuff. So it's kind of ridiculous. So they released a beta patch. They didn't change the primary game, but they released a little beta patch, and that's what I'm playing right now, is the beta patch. So what the beta patch does is it just restores the coalition AE mechanic, aggressive expansion penalty mechanic. So it's just goes back to the old levels. So it's back to the way it always was, man. So for clarity, you pre-Wealth of Nations, you'd lose 2 AE if you have 0 prestige, 3 per year if you have 100 prestige, and 1 if you have negative 100 prestige, right? And that's what this patch is back to. The Wealth of Nations thing changed it to 4 and 6 and 2, so it was big. It was twice as much with 0 prestige and twice as much with 100 prestige. Anyway, which was sad, because the Papal State and Milan and anyone who forms Italy, their primary advantage is that they get this huge aggressive expansion reduction, so it makes it so that they can blob much better than anyone else. So forming Italy lets you blob, and it doesn't give you any combat ability, it doesn't give you any wealth abilities. So like most nations, you focus on trade and ships and wealth, or you get a focus on fighting. But this one is, you get to focus on being, having everyone be happy and nice. So when you make it so that everyone gets double the AE reduction, then it just makes the game way too easy. Anyway, so he was saying, while the game is too easy, or if you think the game is too easy now, you should do one of the challenges that I do. One that he had tried and hadn't been able to succeed with was Hesse. So the goal is just take Hesse on, of course, the hardest difficulty, and just play them and don't die. And house rule is you can only have one great power ally, so you can ally as many small people as you want, but you can only ally either Austria or France or Burgundy or England or Castile, but not more than one of them. And then just, form westafilia and be Hesse. He recently said you should try the Palatinate instead of Hesse, but I'm going to stick with Hesse because the Palatinate is easier, and if I think I can beat the challenge the way it is, why do it in an easier way? So Hesse is the answer for all of us. So let's Hesse it up. We'll Hesse all over the place. We'll make a dirty Hesse messy. So the plan with Hesse is to play most of the game on 5x and sit peacefully by doing nothing as much as possible, because you want to not die. Not dying is cool. Oh, also, you notice how Iron Man is checked, but I can still do a local save. So local Iron Man Hesse, we'll call it local Iron Man Hesse 2. So you can't get any achievements with this, but it still has the restrictions of Iron Man that you can't reload from save. So if you don't care about achievements and you just wanted to play Iron Man, but you don't want to have to go to the Steam cloud all the time, so that anytime the Steam cloud is not available you can't play and it takes longer to save and stuff, then you can do local Iron Man. That's what I'm doing now, local Iron Man. So my plan is to expand away from France and away from Austria and towards this whole Denmark, Sweden, Norway kind of alliance, and with the Hansa. So the most powerful people up here are going to tend to be the Hansa for sure, and Denmark for sure, and maybe Sweden if they take over Denmark, right? So I want all of my allies to be in the south, so that as I expand north, my allies form a buffer between between me and the great powers. Because if I ever share a border with a great power, that's it. That's the game. I lose. So the goal is to avoid ever having a border with a great power, which means trying to ally with people who are in between me and the great power, and helping them to expand to become kind of this one. So what I'd like is for Munster to take over Cleves and then Trier, right? That's what I want. And then I could be allied with Munster and have them form this block against the great powers in the west. And then I want to ally with someone down here. I was thinking Switzerland or Bavaria or Bohemia, and then have them kind of isolate me from Austria, so that I never share a border with Austria either. Those are my two primary goals. So because we're only allowed one great power ally and we start the game with 0 allies, our first goal will be to ally a non-great power. We're going to go for Bohemia because they're the most powerful non-great power in the area. Looks like we need about 10 relations with them. And then somebody for this western border, either Trier or Munster. Trier is probably better because they're going to tend to ally Austria anyway, whereas Munster is not an elector, so they won't tend to get that alliance. Unfortunately, Trier rivals me early on, but if I really commit, I might be able to eventually get them. Last time I chose Munster, which is the easy choice because they don't rival me. Since they don't share a border, you can only rival people you share a border with, so by allying Munster, you know, good times. Another good choice would be the Palatinate, because if they take over Ansbach and Nuremberg, then they already form a southern buffer. Hey, deboinks. So we could go for Bohemia in the east, Palatinate in the south, and Trier or Munster in the west, and then we could just expand our way up north, so we'll make enemies of everyone north of us. So that's kind of the plan. So we'll go for Bohemia and Palatinate first. I'm going to ally Austria later, and I'm not going to fight any wars until all of that is done. So we're going to take... Like, it looks like they really want us to be friends with Brunswick, but I don't want to be friends with Brunswick. Improve our prestige is always a great quest early on. I've been so used to playing Merchant Republics. I played the Hansa, I played Venice, and I played Genoa, and all of them are super fun. I love Merchant Republics. They're super duper fun. So this is the first monarchy I've played since Wealth of Nations, and I've been super upset at how few monarch points you get, especially admin points you have access to when you're not playing a Merchant Republic. Because as a Merchant Republic, you basically can always have maxed out admin points and 3 stability, because they get all these events, Republican events, where they're like, would you like to trade something for stability? And I'm like, yes. So you just keep 3 stability all the time, which means you never have to spend admin on it, which means you constantly have a high admin, which is important because admin is what unlocks your next ideas. So being a monarchy, it sucks. You have no admin points, and you just cry all the time. So my first idea is going to be innovative, and then defensive, and that'll get my tradition up. There's a policy that gives minus tradition decay that's aristocratic and some other nonsense, but I'm never going to take aristocratic just for the policy. It seems silly. Although it's a valid idea-ish to take an idea just for a policy. I don't think I'd ever do it, but I could imagine someone being like, this policy is crazy strong. We should blah 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 blah. But not me. So we have no coast, and we're not going to have a coast until 1600 or something. So usually I take trade as like my third idea, because trade is the best economic idea. Like you can take administrative, economic, or trade. And trade is by far the best of those 3. And it's still the best of those 3, even though I'm landlocked. So I will take trade, but I'll probably take it 4th or 5th. Let's see if we're able to ally people yet. Also, we're super poor. We start with 3 provinces, and they are 2 base tax, 6 base tax, and 3 base tax. So that's not very big. So our immediate goal is to take the highest base tax neighbors that we can get, which is going to be Mainz. This one, Nuremberg, is 12 base tax, so we want eventually to have Nuremberg. But I don't think we want to have it quickly. So maybe we'll take... No, these are both 3. See, this is 5, and this is 6. So I think we're going to go Mainz, then Ansbach, then Nuremberg. That's our progression of awesomeness. But I don't want to rival anyone until I'm ready. until I have my allies set, because I don't want anyone attacking me. Until you get an ally, you can just lose the game and have to start over. So hopefully, Bohemian will be my bestest friend at some time in the near future. Near future. Okay, good. So now they are my bestest friend. Oops. Let's check out if the Palatinate... Yep, they're both ready. They're both ready. And we want to ally them both on the same turn in case they're rivals and don't like each other. Which I think is unlikely, but it's important. Oh, crap. Did I ally the wrong dude? Okay. There we go. Alright, so 2 allies. We're going to royal marry them because we intend to stay allied to them all game long. Royal marriage, royal marriage. We might get a quest to royal marry. No. I believe our first king is crap, but I don't really remember. Come on, royal marriage. Okay. So whenever you ally someone, it's important to give them military access, because if they ask for military access and you don't click it, it'll auto-decline, and that'll upset your ally, which is stupid. And, you know, they should just automatically get access. Anytime you ally anyone, it should just give them access. It's silly that this is a separate thing. Alright, so now we need a Western ally and Austria. Those are our next goals. Austria... I like to get the alliance before the royal marriage, because if they suddenly rival me and I'm never going to be their ally, I hate wasting the relation on them. And I'd love to have Trier, but Munster is easier. They already want to ally me. So let's go for Munster, and we'll just try to make sure that they conquer Berg, and we'll give it to them. We'll like attack Berg, let them siege it up, and give it to them. I think I am just going to take the royal... Ooh, actually... Well, they can't royal marry. Which is another reason I think that Trier is better. No, Trier also can't royal marry, so whatever. Anyway, I gotta give them military access. And then get Austria on my side. And you gotta be careful, because the changes that they made to the game make it so that France always beats up Austria. Austria is going to get their butt kicked by France in every game you ever play now. I don't know which specific changes it was that made that happen, but they don't want military access. That's really weird. Because we're already royal married, so they're already using the diplomat tie on us. Why would they not want military access? Well, once we're allied, then it'll be fine. So if you ally Austria early when you only have 4 troops, you're going to spend much of the game getting your troops killed. And that's something just in general, that anytime you play a super weak, crappy nation in the middle of the HRE, you're going to have to get used to losing your entire army over and over. It's going to happen. And as long as you don't, you know, lose the game, it doesn't really matter. But that means your prestige is often going to be very low, and you're going to have to constantly rebuild your army, and it can become a big hassle. Manpower is always going to be a problem. So one thing I like to do is ally France and then hide my army in the middle of France, and then it won't die. But since house rules say I'm not allowed to ally France until I break my alliance with Austria, we won't do that yet. I will at some point break my alliance with Austria. Alright, we gotta make sure everyone has access to walk around. Dear Austria, you may walk around. So now we've got our 4 allies set. Now it's time to set our rivals and start squashing them to death. So unfortunately, Austria allied Trier, and we knew that was going to happen, and they didn't ally Munster, and that's one of the reasons that I wanted to ally Trier instead of Munster, but Trier had me rivaled, so whatever. So Austria is not allied to Berg. Let's see, Berg is allied to, unfortunately, Burgundy. Funny, Berg and Burgundy. Munster is already fighting against Guillory and Oldenburg. I might intervene to make sure that my newly formed ally doesn't get full annexed. But I'm not very powerful. I only have 4 troops, and they have a combined 5 at least, if not more. So I need to improve relations if I'm going to intervene, and even then, might not be a good idea. But whatever. Austria declared war on Alsace. They haven't called me in, so that's fine. I need to build up my army if I'm going to kill... you know what? My force limits is 6. I don't think I can save Munster. but I'm going to try. We'll make sure to build all of our troops all game from the same province so that I believe, and I might be wrong about this, but I believe that if you always build your troops in the same province and then later on you upgrade that province, it reduces the price of those troops that already exist without having to rebuild your forces. Because I tested that before and it seemed to work that way with the Hansa, but it might have only been for that patch, and this is a beta, so it's a different patch, so it might be different now. All right, so what is this war anyway? And will I be able to get to them? I won't even be able to get to them. It's important to ally people that you can't get to, because your immediate neighbors will tend to eventually rival you. As long as you're allied with the Emperor, then if he comes into a war, all of your allies can walk as far as they need to. So I hope Munster doesn't get crushed, but even if they do, hopefully they'll only lose one province and not two. Okay, who are we going to beat up first? Our expansion plan was to kill Mainz first, but they allied Austria. Oh, looks like they broke their alliance with Austria. So they're allied to Bavaria and Saxony, so I could easily take them. We're improving relations with our friends, but that's not super important. It's more important to start taking down our AE. Alright, so Austria needs a plus 30 to come into war. They need plus 30 to come into any war. Because of war exhaustion, manpower, and the fact that they're already fighting in another war, they're not willing to come into this. Why am I looking at you? I don't know. I just like looking at people. That's how I roll. The cordial attitude thing basically means that they don't look upon me as being strong enough to be worth wasting troops on. So if I attack one of their rivals, they'll come. But if I attack someone that they can't benefit from, then they won't. So Mainz, it looks like, is not going to be a good fight. What I got to do is wait for one of my allies to pick a fight that involves one of my neighbors, then join that fight, and then siege up one of my neighbors, and I'll start fabricating claims before anything happens. So Bohemia is in a good old war with Teutonic Order. That's pretty common. We're staying nice and peaceful for now. We got a 3 infantry and 3 horses, 50% cavalry. This is good for one fight. If we have to fight 3 fights in a row, it'll be terrible because we'll have too many cavalry. Because we'll tend to lose our infantry but not our cavalry. Improve prestige, improve relations, improve papal relations. That's a fun one, but right now I'm using my diplomats for something. I'm going to take improve prestige because there's, it's just a good quest all around. I'm also going to boost my stability to 1. And all of my allies are in some war or another. And none of them are wars that I can benefit from, so I got to wait out these wars. Ooh, Frankfurt I love Frankfurt. It's a great province. And they don't have any allies. So it looks like to take Frankfurt, this would only put me at war with 2 people, and they're both people I want to kill. So I'm gonna rival both of them. Frankfurt and Wurzburg. Okay. So to beat both of them, I just need to quickly hit Frankfurt and then win the fight before Wurzburg gets there. So right before the war, I might get 4 mercs, and that'll allow me to get everything done. All right, covert actions, fabricate claim on Frankfurt, and you know what? I did this last time too. I can't fab claims on these guys because their capital is my immediate neighbor, so we're gonna have to go against them with no claims. But that's okay. Alright, so let's go back to improving ties to Austria, and pretty soon we will be attacking Frankfurt. So to get... We need 25 plus 10, 35 bucks. Yeah, we'll be okay. So just before the fight, I'm going to recruit another cavalry and another infantry, going up to 8. And then it's going to slowly eat away at my money, and I'll take some loans. But as I kill Frankfurt and Wurzburg, then that should give me enough money just from that war to pay off the loans. Looks like Munster didn't die, which is great. I meant to check what that war was all about, but I didn't. So I gotta be careful, because if I full annex Wurzburg, then I get a border with Bohemia, which will cause them to start disliking me. I want... And also Wurzburg is 3 base tax. Both of the provinces are 3 base tax. So I will not take them. I'm just going to take Frankfurt. And I'll get money from Wurzburg. So once this claim fabrication is done, let's go up to 5x speed. If I get caught fabricating claims, it's 10 years with 0 prestige to make up for fabricating claims. It's kind of ridiculous. In the other patch, it's 5 years. If you have enough prestige, then it's down to 7 in this one, and I think like 3 or 2 in the other one. Yeah, there we go. Some stability. Sweet. Alright, so my claim has been fabricated. So it's time to recruit one of each. And then we're going to go to war with Frankfurt, who didn't manage to get any allies except for Wurzburg still, which is good. Which is important and good. Combination of the two. The first battle begin. Man, it's taking a lot longer than I thought. So I might actually want to feed Wurzburg to Bohemia. Maybe not. I don't know. I think I don't. I don't want them to expand west. Just looking. Alright. So I'm going to grab 3 mercenaries. Up my army maintenance. Start taking out loans. And declare some war. Looks like Mainz is fighting the Palatinate at this point. I hope my king is good at fighting. Oh, he's actually not. And I believe my army tradition is only 10, so hiring a general would just be a waste. We're going to be fighting with our king, and he's going to be terrible. This is going to be questionable in its laudatoriness. Okay, here we go. Fight to the death. I like that they consider me an ally, despite the fact that I'm about to kill them. Alright, so you can see how if I got a Diplo rep advisor, I might be able to pull 2 extra people into this fight. Unfortunately, I don't have access to a Diplo rep advisor. But that's something to consider. When you declare war and you mouse over this, I have 24 positive and 30 negative. The 30 negative is just because I'm not powerful enough for them to feel like they want to help me. Cordial attitude as opposed to ally or friendly attitude. But I have 12 trust and I have 8 reputation. I can get a lot more reputation by taking a rep advisor. I'm not sure if it'd give me 6, the 6 that I need to get Bohemia into this. But you know, anyway, doesn't matter because I can't get it. So let's fight with no allies for Frankfurt. If I lose this fight, the whole game kind of ends, but hopefully we won't lose the fight. I should have hired this guy before we went in, but whatever. So see how he's got 2 provinces to walk? Hopefully I'll be able to kill... Oh, unfortunately I didn't completely end the fight before he arrived. Oh, Snape. Well, there you go. The end, my friend. Alright, so he can get to either Hesse or Nassau from where he stands now. I'm gonna hire a nope, can't hire anyone. So one thing we can do is try to piece out Wurzburg by taking their capital. They'll take a white piece, and if not even giving me all their money if I get their capital. So I'm gonna stand on their capital, and either they're gonna attack me, in which case I'll get defender's advantage, or they'll just let me have it, in which case I'll peace out. Unfortunately, I should have waited for my morale to come back more before doing that. Might be doomed. How's their general? They got a 0-4 general. So that's part of what's going on here. Yeah, I think I lose. Okay. They're not going to take any provinces. They'll probably peace out for my money. It was close. We'll try again in a little while. And because... yeah, see, they'll peace out for 12 ducats. They don't really care. They're just like, don't take Frankfurt. I'm Frankfurt. That's not right. So we didn't really lose anything. We took out some loans that are going to be a pain in the butt to pay back, and we didn't succeed in our first conquest, but all in all, no big deal. So because we have 4 pretty good allies, we don't need to rebuild our army anytime soon. We've got the 10k manpower that it'll cost to rebuild. I think we're going to do exactly the same thing. We want 5 cavalry and 5 infantry, and then we'll go and hopefully we can win the first fight before the second fight happens. So it looks like Frankfurt sold off some of their troops. They're down to 3 troops instead of 4 now. If I had the money, I could rebuild and go again, but we're just going to keep waiting. Poor first war. So sad. I gotta defund the army and start rebuilding. I should actually pay off all my loans first. It's going to be a long time of peace. And during that time, we'll improve relations with the 2 guys that were almost willing to come in that fight, and we'll also hope for a Diplo Rep advisor. Next time we should be able to pull in Bohemia and Austria, actually, if we wait until we're at peace. I'd like to win the war on my own. It's possible that they would attack me if I just declared war and put 5 guys in each of these 2 provinces. Ooh, looks like Wurzburg is getting beat up by some people. So now would be a good time to attack Frankfurt again. Unfortunately, I've got a truce with them. Is it worth expanding north into Westphalen? I think Westphalen allied Austria. Berg is still got an ally. We could take Brunswick. And they're 5 and 7 base tax, so Brunswick would actually be a great target. We do plan to expand north eventually. So we might attack Brunswick. Let's see who would come if we went to Brunswick. Brunswickville. Looks like Austria would not, because again, we need 7 more bonuses with Austria. Bohemia is having debt problems. Palatinate, no. And Munster, yes. Because they really dislike the enemy. Who does Austria very much dislike? Very much. I very much dislike said people. It looks like they're not... They don't dislike anyone near me, which is, you know, to be expected since they're the emperor. They're not huge fans of Brunswick, but they don't hate them either. They got some border friction with Bavaria, but they've had their relations improved. Württemberg is their real friends. Okay. Looks like Austria is fighting against the Palatinate, so I have to pick one of them to break ties with. That's not good. Austria got claims on the Palatinate. They're also taking over Switzerland. Obviously, I'm going to stick with Austria instead of some stupid minor. So we'll decline the defensive call. Breaking ties. with the Palatinate, keeping my royal marriage. I'll re-ally them later. I doubt that Austria will actually take anything from them.